Have you ever wondered why some people have a faster result, a thicker result, a longer lasting result, and other people do not? So stay on and we'll discuss this topic today. The key to this talk on why some people have a good result and others do not lies in the hair cycle itself. And as you all know, the hair cycle comprises the anagen phase, the catagen phase, and the resting phase, which is called the telogen phase. Now let's take this example of a Punjabi actor and a singer who underwent a hair transplant about a decade back at another clinic with very poor growth, and then he came to us about 7 years back for a revision hair transplant. And in the first instant itself, he had a very thick hairline, which you can see in this video.
करे खड़ी है फरारी खड़ी रहन दे गेड़े कड्डने नु खड़ा हॉलैंड नी बड़ी पीती अंग्रेजां वाली बोतलां च बंद पहले तोड़ दी कराऊ खड़े हैंड नी लगी अख ते पराटा पावे जट सीधा सादा पर फैशन च पूरा अपडेट गब्बरू पावे पौंदा आ ब्रांड बिल्लो बारले दिल तो अठेठ गब्बरू ओ पावे पौंदा आ ब्रांड बिल्लो बारले दिल तो अठेठ गब्बरू
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ ਅੱਜ ਮੈਂ ਆਇਆ ਜੀ ਵਾਲ ਲਵਾਉਣ ਤੇ ਵਾਲ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਵੀ ਲਵਾਏ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਥੋੜੇ ਜਿਹੇ ਪਰ ਉਹ ਵਾਲ ਘੱਟ ਆਏ ਸੀ ਪਰ ਮੈਂ ਸੋਚਦਾ ਕਿ ਹੁਣ ਡਾਰਲਿੰਗ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਆਇਆ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਵਾਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਰਿਜ਼ਲਟ ਵਧੀਆ ਆ ਜਾਏ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਵਾਲ ਵਧੀਆ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਫਿਰ ਥੋੜੀ ਲੁੱਕ ਵੀ ਚੇਂਜ ਹੋਣੀ ਬੰਦੀ ਦੀ ਸੋ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਗਏ ਆ ਤੇ ਟ੍ਰਾਂਸਪਲਾਂਟ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋਣਾ ਸੋ
लगी अख ते पराटा पावे जट सीधा सादा पर फैशन च पूरा अपडेट गब्बरू पावे पौंदा आ ब्रांड बिल्लो बारले दिल तो अठेठ गब्बरू ओ पावे पौंदा आ ब्रांड बिल्लो बारले दिल तो अठेठ गब्बरू.
Now, why did this patient in the first instance not have a result, and in the second instance all the hair grew, the survival rate was almost 100%, and after 7 years, as you can see on his Instagram profile, the result is as good as it was 6 years back. There is no denying the fact that the result of a hair transplant to a great extent depends upon how many anagen hair during the harvesting process of hair transplant were cherry-picked by the surgeon and transplanted. Anagen hair that were not affected by the process of androgenic alopecia. So it is so counterintuitive that surgeons would not follow this basic tenet of hair transplant, picking out anagen hair for the hair transplant for better results. Well, there are many reasons why this does not happen. Firstly, number one, the greed of the patient for more grafts. The dynamics of economy. And in some clinics, it is the surgeon who is pressing for more grafts because it gives more revenue. Number two, inability to identify anagen hair because you have given short shrift to advanced forms of hair transplant. You have not incorporated magnification in the process of harvesting and implantation of grafts. Anagen hair can never be identified without magnification. Total disregard for the permanent zone of the scalp donor, which is called the safe zone. Transgressing the safe zone, going into the balding zone and harvesting grafts from there, you are bound to get hair affected by the process of androgenic alopecia. And they are most likely not anagen hair, and even if they are anagen hair, they are in the last few cycles before they disappear. And lastly, not stopping oral finasteride before the procedure, knowing fully well that a lot of hair that appear anagen are actually miniaturized hair which have been made robust through the intake of oral finasteride. And if we do not select anagen hair in this instance, in this case, with due diligence, and the patient is not very compliant with treatment, you can well imagine the miniaturizing hair that we transplant, they will not only interfere with density, but they would have also inordinately depleted the scalp donor, causing an unaesthetic appearance of the scalp donor. So how do you tell an anagen hair from a catagen hair? An anagen hair which is in its full bloom from a hair which is either miniaturizing or a hair which is going into the resting phase or the telogen phase. The only practical way to make out is through magnification. The other way to make out is by pre-shaving 3 days before, but this is rarely possible because the patients, when they fly in from another city, you cannot do justice on a fully shaven given head because the scalp donor is always limited and you need to put grafts strategically, and therefore the importance of people coming to the clinic before the procedure with a full head of hair. And you cannot expect a patient to come in with a shaved head, because this way we cannot assess the play of light and darkness on the scalp, planning strategically where to put grafts and where grafts need not be placed in the present procedure. So how do you separate the chaff from the grain? How do you make out whether this hair is anagen hair, or this hair is going into the resting phase, or this hair is miniaturizing? The whole basis of my technique of harvest revolves around cherry picking anagen hair that are robust, that have the maximum potential for growth. And my technique is called the direct hair Anagen Intensive hair transplant technique. Anagen hair grow like weed. Anagen hair have the maximum growth potential because anagen hair have the least chance of being affected by DHT. DHT that suppresses the growth of the planted hair after a hair transplant. Anagen hair grow faster than the other hair, and anagen hair give longer lasting results. Anagen hair give longer lasting results because anagen hair by their very nature are long lasting hair. In a scalp which is not affected by androgenic alopecia, 65 to 75% hair are in the anagen phase. And this is not true in patients who have extensive forms of baldness, say grade 5, grade 6 baldness. Some amount of miniaturizing also happens in the scalp donor. So the count of anagen hair in these cases will be far lower than in patients who do not have androgenic alopecia. So when we go about doing a hair transplant in those patients with extensive baldness and who have some amount of miniaturization in the scalp donor, it becomes very necessary that we cherry pick out grafts which are in the anagen phase for maximum potential for growth to get better results and longer lasting results. However, in those patients who have androgenic alopecia, who have extensive grades of baldness, who have miniaturization in the scalp donor, but who are on oral finasteride or minoxidil, the anagen phase gets prolonged. The hair look more robust than they otherwise would be. And it is therefore very necessary for us to separate the chaff from the grain. In my clinic, we confine ourselves only to the safe zone, and therefore you will never find more than 3,500 scalp grafts being taken in any of the cases which I have highlighted over the last 15-16 years on this channel. Moreover, I cherry pick only anagen hair which have the maximum potential for growth, which have maximum survival rate while undergoing the transplantation process. My philosophy and what I practice routinely is to make up for this deficit, not compromising on anagen hair, by making up for this deficit by recruiting more and more body hair, which we do routinely. Almost every other day we do body hair transplant. Besides the 3,000 to 3,500 scalp grafts that we can routinely, in most cases, pick out, grafts which are in anagen phase, we can harvest up to 4,000 to 6,000 grafts from the body in an average person over a 2-day session. And this is what we practice routinely. When you're starting to harvest and when you look into the donor area, into the safe zone, various types of hair stare at you and you are staring back, trying to guess which hair to pick out and which hair to leave behind, how much hair to pull out and how much hair to leave behind. There are hair which are robust, which look very thick, and there are hair which are thin, some of them miniaturizing, teetering on survival in the last few cycles of their life on the scalp. And there are hair which are going into the resting phase but are also good quality hair, not affected by androgenic alopecia. But if we pick them out in this session, since they are miniaturizing, since they are going into the resting phase, their potential for growth is less, but we can always pick them up in the next session when baldness progresses. So what decision you take on which graft to harvest and which graft to leave behind determines in a big way the hair transplant result that the patient is going to get. It's all up to the surgeon which grafts he will take, whether he will transgress the boundaries of the safe zone, whether he will take non-anagen hair as well. This is the crucial part of the harvesting process, which is a very important part of hair transplant. Did the surgeon go in a wanton manner harvesting all that came his way, or did he exercise due diligence in harvesting grafts? So that was the talk of the day. If you have any question, any doubt in your mind about my technique, direct hair anagen intensive hair transplant technique, or any other doubt in your mind about hair loss medication for men and for women, about hair transplant, do let me know. Just drop a comment in the comment section below and I'm always there to help you. Thank you for watching again. For those who have not subscribed yet, please subscribe. Your indulgence, your motivation keeps the channel going. Have a nice day and God bless you.